Ever feel like your brain is running 5 tabs at once and none of them will stay open long enough to finish? Like you're tuned into every signal and no one else seems to notice the noise? Maybe it's ADHD. Maybe it's autism. Maybe it's both. The overlap is more common than people think, and it is often misunderstood. Most people only see the stereotypes. They don't see your senses pick up everything. The flicker of a light, the shift in someone's tone, the texture that ruins your whole day. They also miss the beauty your mind finds in tiny details, or how you connect things others don't even notice. The pattern finding, the deep empathy, the creativity that blooms under pressure. We're diving into the real overlaps, the signs people miss, and we're not here to diagnose or label you. We're here to offer insight, connection, and support so you can better understand yourself and, if needed, take steps towards getting help. By the end of this video, you might finally have the words for what you've been feeling all along. So let's get into it. ADHD, autism, or both. Understanding the nuances of ADHD is often associated with being loud, hyper, or impulsive, blurting things out, interrupting, bouncing in your seat, or getting easily distracted. And for some, that's exactly how it shows up. But ADHD doesn't always look the way people expect, especially in women and AFAB, assigned female at birth individuals. They're often misdiagnosed or overlooked because their traits don't match the loud or hyper stereotype. The truth is, sometimes ADHD shows up in quieter, more internal ways that are easier to miss. It might look like zoning out, emotional sensitivity, restlessness that doesn't show on the outside, or struggling to focus unless something is deeply interesting. ADHD also brings incredible strengths like creativity, out-of-the-box thinking, humor, and a natural ability to make connections that others might miss. Autism, on the other hand, is often associated with things like avoiding eye contact, repetitive movements called stimming, or speaking in a flat tone. And again, for some people, that's exactly how it shows up. But autism doesn't always fit the mold either, especially in people who've learned to mask their traits. Sometimes it might look like anxiety in social situations, deep discomfort with sudden change, or extreme sensitivity to lights, sounds, or textures. Some autistics may feel overwhelmed in noisy environments, struggle to follow unspoken social rules, or fixate on certain interests that bring them comfort and clarity. Autism is less about behavior and more about how you process the world, information, sensation, and connection. And with that processing often comes brilliance. Autistic minds are frequently deeply focused, incredibly observant, and passionate. They too may notice details others miss, spot patterns quickly, and think deeply about things most people overlook. Where they overlap, the shared landscape. So here's where it gets tricky. ADHD and autism often overlap. They can both involve sensory sensitivities. This might mean being bothered by bright lights, loud noises, strong smells, or certain textures. Difficulty managing time or focus. While the reason for this might differ, the outcome can look similar. Social struggles, though for different reasons. An autistic person might struggle with unspoken social rules, while someone with ADHD might interrupt due to impulsivity or a racing mind. Hyperfocus. Yes, even ADHD folks can get deeply locked into something they find genuinely interesting. Moments of mental freezing or information overload, when the brain just can't process any more input. Co-occurring conditions, such as anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders. Studies show, for example, that anxiety disorders are highly prevalent in both ADHD and autistic populations, with estimates suggesting that around 50% of individuals with ADHD also experience an anxiety disorder, and figures for autistic individuals can be even higher, sometimes exceeding 80%. Depression is also significantly higher, with about 30 to 50% of adults with ADHD experiencing depression, and similar rates seen in autistic adults. But this overlap doesn't just show up in struggles. People with ADHD, autistics, and ADHDers often share powerful strengths like creativity, thinking outside the box and approaching problems in novel ways. Deep empathy, a profound ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Passionate interests, the capacity to delve deeply into subjects they care about. An ability to think in ways that break the mold. Catching those connections others miss. Finding beauty in small details and staying with a problem long after others have given up. Navigating a world not designed for you. These differences can be a gift, but they don't always make things easy. Even with all of that insight and resilience, everyday situations can still feel overwhelming. The world wasn't designed with neurodivergent processing in mind, and when your brain works differently, even simple tasks can become minefields of confusion or overstimulation. Let's take a look at what that can feel like in real life. Imagine two people are in the same room. One keeps interrupting, not to be rude, but because if they don't speak, they'll forget their thought entirely. The other doesn't speak at all because they're unsure when it's their turn or how to start a conversation. Externally, two different behaviors. Internally, both are trying their best to process an overwhelming moment. Overload and freeze response is also a very common overlap for individuals with ADHD, autistics, and ADHDers. It can look like someone standing still while the world rushes past them. Too many sounds, too many decisions, too much light, too much everything. They want to respond, but the words don't come. Their body says freeze before their mind has time to catch up. Sometimes it looks like chaos, like someone surrounded by plans and possibilities, each one screaming for attention. And they want to start, but they can't. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels impossible. And sometimes it feels like both. A brain caught in loops, a body ready to move but unable to follow through. Sensory and/or information overload might be a bit like this for some. Can you relate? It can leave you longing for peace, too overstimulated to find it. Everything inside you says go, but nothing happens. You're just stuck. Not because you're lazy, but because your system is kind of short-circuiting under pressure. The internal tug of war. Speed up versus slow down. ADHD often feels like being pulled outward, toward movement, stimulation, ideas, and urgency. The mind races ahead, chasing what's next before the present is finished. It's not about craving chaos. It's about craving clarity and novelty in a brain that struggles to slow down. Autism, on the other hand, often feels like being pulled inward toward consistency, depth, and protection from too much input. The mind wants to make sense of things before acting. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about creating enough order to safely engage with it. Both are deeply sensitive ways of being. Both want calm and clarity. But when they coexist, it can feel like you're trying to speed up and slow down at the same time. That tension alone can be exhausting. Finding your path forward. So what now? Maybe some of this sounds familiar, or maybe you've spent years wondering why the world feels like it was designed for a different kind of person, like everyone else got the instructions and you're just trying to keep up. Maybe it feels like you're an alien learning to speak a language that sometimes doesn't feel meant for you. Your brain works differently, and that's more than okay. Being neurodivergent can bring its challenges, and it's important to acknowledge that. But it's also these differences that make you so valuable. Your unique way of thinking and seeing the world brings creativity, fresh perspectives, and problem-solving skills that others may not have. And these are just a few of the many ways your neurodivergence makes this world richer. ADHD and autism often overlap in ways people don't always realize. Sometimes it's not about one or the other, it's both. They can share many traits, but each experience is unique. If any of this resonated with you and you're comfortable, we'd love to hear your story. Have you been diagnosed? What was that like for you? If you're thinking about getting a diagnosis, talking to your doctor is a great first step. They can help guide you towards a psychologist for testing and support. And remember, you don't need to rush. Take your time with this process. It's yours to navigate at your pace. The goal isn't to fit into a mold. It's to build a life that aligns with your strengths, your rhythm. It's about understanding your mind and learning how to work with it, not against it. And you don't need a diagnosis to deserve kindness and understanding. You don't need to prove your struggles to be heard or supported. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this too. Thanks for being here.